So in this chapter, we're going to revisit our Sentinel game object that we just made in the last video. We're going to spice it up and get ready for more advanced AI scripts in the future. We have to do a few things different than what we did with the player object that we have right here in our scene. So why don't we just get started? We'll just do this step by step, and you guys can follow along. All right. So previously, with our player object we have here with our gambit, we were able just to attach all of our scripts and parent all of our boxes to our basic sprite object with the sprite renderer on top of it. This isn't really going to work for our Sentinel. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and just make an empty game object here. And we're going to call this Sentinel. And we're going to rename our sprite to Sentinel Sprite. All right. And I did go ahead and advise us to put a box collider on our Sentinel Sprite last video, but we're going to remove that for right now. This game object, our Sentinel Sprite game object that we just renamed, is only going to really carry our sprite renderer component and our animator component here. So what we'll do now is we'll make sure that our Sentinel game object is reset to 0. So we'll go to reset in our transforms. And we want to make sure that our Sentinel sprite is 0 in the X and Z. And that's a good height for it. We've already got the height positioned. And we're just going to nestle our Sentinel sprite underneath our Sentinel there. All right. So this Sentinel game object is going to be our parent for all of our boxes and things we're about to make. So why don't we go ahead and add some components to our empty game object we just made for our Sentinel here. The first thing we'll do is we'll go to physics and we'll put that box collider back on this guy. All right. So with our box collider selected, I'm going to go ahead and hide this ground so we can see our collider a little bit easier. We can go ahead and see that our box collider isn't in a good position or shape. So I'm going to hit Edit Collider, and I'm going to go into 2D view. Look at that camera's in the way. I'm going to move that camera out of the way for right now. Go back to my Sentinel game object. We'll go to Edit Collider. And why don't we just position it like so. This box right here is going to handle collision with the ground. I'll back out of 2D. It's going to handle position with the ground, and it's going to handle colliding with other enemies and players on the field. And I'm going to make this somewhat skinny. I don't want to... it's only going to handle collision type things. If it was too large, it would be hard for it to navigate through the environment. All right, so we'll uncheck Edit Collider, and this will not be a trigger. This will be our physics-based collider for our game object here. Now we're going to add a sphere collider to this. This sphere collider is going to be how we check for our player, and this will be a trigger. And we're going to set the radius up to something like 2 or so. This sphere collider right here is going to be basically our enemy's line of sight. So anytime our character enters the sphere here, our Sentinel will be able to, or our enemy rather, will be able to see our character and walk towards our character and start attacking, what have you. All right. So with that out of the way, we can focus on the next few steps we're going to take. Why don't we go ahead and apply a rigid body to our enemy here. We're going to freeze the rotation on it, and that should be all we need to do right now for that. All right, great. Why don't we go ahead and also tag our Sentinel game object, empty game object we just made, to enemy. We don't have enemy in our tags here, so we're going to go to Add Tag and go to our list here, and we're going to type in enemy. All right, we're going to reselect my empty game object. Now I'm going to go to Tag and set it as an enemy there. And why don't we go ahead and make our hitboxes like we had for Gambit, our attack and hitboxes and all that stuff. All right, so we'll go through that real quick one more time. And I like doing it by creating just some cubes like so. I want to go up to my materials we've made, and I'm going to call this hitbox and apply that material to my Sentinel here. and we'll rename it to Hitbox in my inspector, and we'll parent it under our Sentinel. We'll go to 2D view, and we're going to give it a nice little hitbox like so. All right, great. And then why don't we adjust, there we go. So anytime a attack hitbox enters this hitbox right here, then our character will take damage. All right, we'll leave it untagged for now. We'll handle all of our tags on collision when we start setting up our combat for the game. And just to make things quicker, I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to call this attack box, or attack 1 box rather. And I'm going to disable my hitbox here in my inspector so I don't see it. And I'm going to apply a new material to this attack box. Give it that green one. And now we have to go to our Sentinel sprite and start seeing the range of our attacks for our Sentinel. So if I go to my sprites folder here, I can see all of my sprites that make up attack 1 under Sentinel. And 132 seems to be about the farthest reach for my punch here. So what we'll do is we'll select my Sentinel sprite game object, and we have our sprite renderer here. And we'll just drag and drop that sprite onto our sprite object or sprite variable right here. And then we'll just adjust our box accordingly. Maybe go into 2D view. So I'm going to kind of put it right in the center mass of my character here, all the way to the end of my fist there. And I'm going to duplicate this 2 more times, and we're going to give them the right kind of names we want to give. So attack 2 and attack 3. All right, and then we're going to just do the same thing here. We're going to go see our attacks we have. We have a kick for our second attack. So 173. And I'm going to disable attack box 1 and disable attack box 3. So I'm only looking at attack box 2. And I'm going to kind of try to keep it in the center again and get it all the way to the end of my toe there, like so. And then we'll disable it. And then we'll enable attack box 3. And we'll, okay, that looks like the reach 126 is the farthest reach for attack 3. So we're going to just put it in there so we can get an accurate visualization of how long this hit is. And keep it towards the center here, like so. All right, I'm going to pop out of 2D view now. And I'm going to activate all my hitboxes again in my inspector. And looks like it's pretty good. So now my Sentinel character has pretty much all of the boxes and colliders and physics we need to get this guy going. So when all this is done, what we're going to do is we're going to go to our, I think we have a prefabs folder around here somewhere. It looks like we don't. So we're going to make a prefabs folder now. Create folder. All right, or not. Create folder. I'm going to call this prefabs, like so. And what we're going to do now is we're going to, why don't we go ahead and put that idle sprite back onto our Sentinel here. We don't want him permanently just stuck in an attack. So I'm going to go down to my Sentinel idle, select my Sentinel sprite game object with my sprite renderer, and just drag and drop the idle like so on top of it. And I'm going to go ahead and deactivate all these attack boxes like so. And what we're going to do is we're going to make prefabs of our 2 characters right now. So we have our Sentinel. So I'll just drag and drop Sentinel. And now he's a prefab. And we'll take our player character, which in this case is my Gambit, and we'll make him a character or a prefab. And with my prefab selected, I'm going to go up and reset that position of Gambit back to 0. All right. So why don't we go ahead and save this scene and save project. And next video, we're going to explore setting up our level and describing a nav mesh system for our AI so our character can navigate our environment. So next lesson, we're going to worry about our level and all that good stuff. All right, I'll see you then.